This is digital photography. My name is Polly. Some people like to, Runa, take your time. Some people like to call me Miss Polly, but my name is Polly. And the way that I teach is really tailored to the students that I work with. So I've worked with many different types of students across different areas of photography. So before we dive in, I'd love to get to know you guys a little bit more. So if we go to slide 2, there are 3 questions that I would love to learn more about from you. So if we wouldn't mind just going around the room, introducing yourself, if you want to say a little bit about you, where you're calling in from, and then I really want to know what interests you about photography, why you're here, and what you're hoping to learn. If you have any experience, feel free to share that as well, but this is an intro course, so you don't need to have any experience whatsoever. Is there someone who would like to start? Ooh, we got a lot of different interests. I'm very excited. I'm going to the next page, which is what we just did. And now I'm on the Artist Eye page. So we're going to get into the technicals of photography. We're going to go into all the different things you guys are looking for. But today I want us to drop down into the metaphysical and the philosophical aspects of photography. Photography is like any artistic practice. It's part technical, but then also part emotional and evocative. The actual physics behind photography we will also get into. I know some people don't like the scientific aspects, but it's really fascinating that what you're doing is playing with light. You are capturing, dancing with, collaborating with light. So this first little section, what we want to do is just go through some images and see which ones give you any sort of emotional response. So if I was sharing my screen, what I would do is I would go through a series of images and spend about 10 seconds with each image, and then I would ask you guys to write down what your emotional responses are to these images. Okay, so unfortunately I can't share my screen, but if you guys want to go one by one through those images, and I will name them while we're going so we can all do it together. Does that sound good? Can I get some thumbs up to know that we're all on the same page? Carlo, gotcha. Zephyr, Dina, Seraphis, okay, perfect, great. So let's go to the first one. View slideshow. Ansel Adams. And again, just write down if this photo gives you any sort of emotional response or feeling or resonance. Okay, next one, John Baldessari. Okay, next one, Ilsa. And there are no right or wrong answers, just what your intuition and general emotional response is. Next one, this is an unknown photographer. Next one, Graham Crumb. Next one, Yaroslav. Next one, Vic Muniz. Next one, Jean. Jean, you may remember this from childhood. Next one, Anna. Next one, Anand. Next one, the Hubble Space Telescope. Next one, this is an unknown photographer. Next one, Annie Leibovitz. Next one, Dorothea Lange. Next one, James Stanfield. Next one, this is an unknown photographer. And for all you iPhone photographers, this was actually shot on an iPhone. Next one, the NBA. Next one, Walter Loss Jr. Next one, Gregory Seamus. Next one, Rob Grimm. Next one, Dmitry Danilov. Alrighty. So, did I lose you guys? Were you able to keep up on that? How we doing? Thumbs up or audio? Thumbs up. Okay, great. So now what we're going to do is go one by one through those photos and talk through which ones you guys responded with and then what the corresponding basic design principles of those photos might have evoked some reaction in you. There's no right or wrong answers. Every single type of photography is 100% valid, and every single lens and emotional response to photos is 100% valid. So we're just going to go through those photos one by one together. Okay, so let's go back to that world. And I just want you guys to chime in. Again, I can't really see the chat because I have it full screen. So the first photo, Ansel Adams, did anyone get a visceral response to this photo?
I thought loneliness.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit more about that, where you're getting that from?
I kind of feel cold. Everything is a little bit dried out, seems a bit lifeless.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else get a response to this photo? So Ansel Adams is one of the kind of godfathers of landscape photography. And his work, loneliness, is a theme, and it's all portraits essentially of landscapes. Um, so if you're interested in landscapes, Ansel is one of your forefathers. All right, any last words for Ansel? Anyone else want to bring anything up? Okay, let's go on to the second photo. John, anyone have a reaction to this photo?
I think for this one, for me, in a scene that people probably pass constantly, it's, just alternate lens, if you will, where all of a sudden the mundane and the usual becomes focal and, almost interesting, something that wouldn't always necessarily be an interesting thing in your everyday life. It's kind of how I'm seeing it.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah, the kind of magic of framing, which is something we will talk about at length. How to choose where the frame ends. That mundane, the bringing the mystical or the magical out in the mundane, choosing what to focus on, choosing your lens. So resonant. Absolutely. Anyone else have any thoughts about John? Alrighty. On to the next. How about Ilsa? Anyone respond to Ilsa?
So what I got is like a perspective, like different perspective from the same person visually, being able to be in different places just because of the presence of the mirror. And I like to take photos with mirrors. It's something that I like. I found that it's a fun way to take the photos. So I like that one.
That's great. Yeah. Yeah, perspective, kind of non-linear perspective, multidimensional. Yeah. Yeah, and who's the subject in this photo? Anyone have any thoughts on who she's photographing?
Herself?
Herself? Absolutely. Yes. And also us, right? It's a very unique way. And also, a lot of influencers and Instagram users, which I hear from some of you, um, they love selfies, right? Mirror selfies. And there's a long lineage of history, people using mirror selfies. And I'm excited to see your work that you do with mirrors. Anyone else have thoughts about Ilsa? Okay, so far I'm hearing a lot of really exciting responses and so much fertile ground to work on. We'll just keep going. Anyone have a visceral response to this image? The unknown, the next image. Sorry, I forgot I'm not sharing my screen.
I put down catastrophe, and I feel like running.
So you feel that in your bones. Yeah. Yeah, what about it is giving you that sense, that urgency?
That thick, dense cloud, ash, whatever that is in the background, it's just so huge, so big that, it's frightening.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. If I took the car out of the image, would it feel the same?
Probably less, but it still is very overpowering, I think.
Absolutely, yeah, overpowering. Anyone else have any response to this photo? Yeah, this one is usually the one where people are like, oh no. Yeah, something animal in us responds to catastrophe, as you said. Yeah. Yeah, isn't it fascinating that even though we are nowhere near this location, just looking at this image can evoke that response? Absolutely. All right, on to the next one. Graham Crumb. Do we have any Graham Crumb resonators? Did anyone have a response to this photo? Did anyone have zero response to this photo?
I think I responded not so much from a visual standpoint. Well, I guess maybe I did. But for me, I think we all walk around and be like, oh my God, that would be such a cool shot. And then we take it and it doesn't turn out the way it did in our head or the way that our eyes saw it. So for me, it was, I think, almost envy that he was able to capture potentially what he saw in his head for that picture to be, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Someone said mundane earlier, these mundane moments all around us. Yeah. Yeah, and a print of this photograph, just a print, not the original, sold for $65,000 at Sotheby's. So there is a market for the mundane out there, if that's of any interest.
As someone who draws quite a bit, I really like how the lighting kind of plays with the different shapes of that like tiling.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah. Yeah, lighting. Such a huge aspect of photography. Yeah. The way that the lines are so geometric and straight, and then the wave of the lighting intersecting them. Ugh. Beauty. Beauty. Did anyone have zero response to this? Did anyone see this and was like, no, no, no?
Me.
Yeah.
Sorry,
What?
it's beautiful. My brain doesn't, I don't know. It's not easy for me to understand this. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, all the photographs we've looked at before this, they had a subject matter. There was something for us to grasp onto. There was a storyline. And this one is one of our first abstract pieces to look at together. Yeah. Awesome. Any other last words for Graham? Alrighty, then let's move on to Yaroslav. Did anyone have a response to Yaroslav?
It looks a little eerie for me. I don't know. It feels something spooky going on, and I couldn't figure out whether that shadow is a living being or it's. Yeah, I thought it was someone's leg, and then I'm like, maybe not. I don't know what it is. Couldn't figure it out. It's a little spooky.
Mm-hmm. So I'm hearing shadow, I'm hearing form, I'm hearing uncertainty, eeriness. Yeah. Anyone else have a response to Yaroslav?
I like how the kind of grainy texture of it kind of makes it look like a graphite drawing or like a charcoal drawing. I think it adds like a really interesting texture to the already like abstract looking shapes.
Absolutely, yeah. And that's entering into the overlapping artistic mediums that photography can play with. That photography can emulate oil painting, can emulate graphite, can emulate many different forms. Yeah, great. Amazing. Y'all are amazing. So, Yaroslav's one of the granddaddies of abstract photography. I know some of y'all probably were like, absolutely not, this is not for me. But for y'all who were lit up, there's a whole world of abstract. And the abstract photographers are very interested, and I think you mentioned this a little bit, about this uncertainty of looking at something and getting to that point of kind of liminality, of not knowing. That in that moment, you are truly open up for the possibility of what forms may be there. So in some art classes or some history of photography classes, they will spend hours looking at photographs like this, just seeing what emotional response your body has, and also where your mind takes you, what forms come out of this seemingly amorphous photograph. Did that resonate with anyone? Do I have any abstract fans in the group? No? Okay. Then we will move on. Alrighty, Vic. Did anyone have a response to Vic?
I like the color. I was surprised that we're looking at black and white. So sometimes, your imagination can help you with the black and white, but with color, I have more attraction to it. I like abstract forms. The color helps me. So I like it.
Great. Yeah. Do we know what this is a photograph of?
It looked like a parade of some sort for me.
Mm-hmm.
And is that a person? Because I don't know, for me, it looked like somebody I see a person, I see a man, a statuesque man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, does anyone else see the man? It may be hard on your screens. Does anyone see what the man and the landscape is made out of?
He definitely looks like he's wearing like overalls or like a work belt or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's kind of hard on the screen.
Yeah, it's gotta be.
Is it
hard.
cars?
It's toys.
Yeah. Little toy cars.
Mm-hmm. Toy cars, toy airplanes, toy ducks. Yeah. So this is one aspect of photography in that you can mold your material. You can choose, you can either do kind of documentary style of things happening like we saw with the ominous clouds, or you can arrange things to create imagery and take photographs of that. So Vic is he's a personal friend, and he is kind of obsessive in these photographs. He spends months and months arranging these images. And if you can't see it very clearly, it is a man standing, and then he's holding onto a rifle, and all of it is made out of toys. So Vic had been in the military, so he has a lot of commentary on petroleum and the use of plastics and weaponry and military. Did that description change anyone's response to this photo? Alrighty, let's go to the next one. So kind of similar a little bit. First of all, does anyone recognize where this comes from? The Jean Marzello? Zolo? If not, if there are no millennials in the room, this is from those I Spy books. So there were a series of books where Jean would arrange kind of dioramas and then have a poem accompanying it saying, I spy a heart, 2 lobster claws, a dancer, a dog, and leopard paws. And then the book was used, you could search for those different objects in the photographs. Does anyone know about her? Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I remember those, like, when I would go to the doctor as a kid, they had, like, a little wall cubby thing that had a bunch of I Spy books in there. And that's pretty much what I would look at while I was waiting for the doctor to come in.
Yeah.
It definitely, like, evokes a sense of nostalgia.
Yeah, and nostalgia is a huge part of photography. Huge, because essentially you're capturing moments in time, right? So nostalgia is, we have much to speak on nostalgia. Anyone else had a response to Jean, or did anyone have zero response? Alrighty. Then we will move on to the next one. Anna. Any thoughts about Anna? So
it kind of
yeah.
It kind of looks like something I'd see on the cover of a science textbook.
You got it. Yep. Yeah, what do you think it's a photograph of?
It looks like the like dandelion seeds.
Yes. Yeah. So Anna is a science photographer. This one in particular is a photogram, which is a process where you take bright light and you expose an object to a reflective paper, and then that kind of trace of that physical object is left on that paper. So it's kind of the most bare bones photography you can have, because in digital photography, you have the light exposure, but it's in the visceral sense. This is literally, you take an object, any kind of object, you put it on a piece of paper, and then you expose light to it. And anywhere the object is covering stays bright white, and anything that's exposed to light stays or turns very, very dark. So it's kind of an inverse of what we see. Yeah. Any other thoughts on Anna? righty. On to the next one. All right, Anand. I didn't hear that there were any scientists in the group this time, so maybe y'all just want to avoid this one. So if anyone would like to just move on to the next one, let me know. If anyone had a response to this, though, I would love to hear it. Yeah. So Anand is a National Geographic photographer. And this particular series, the Parasite series, was the series that kind of launched him into acclaim as a photographer. And what's fascinating is that it looks like a very simple photograph, but it actually took him over a year and a half to figure out what kind of background he should have to expose these parasites that are in insects. So it's another kind of photography where the person is very particular about the object instead of allowing the subject matter to just exist as it is. So there may be some of you that want to create dioramas or want to create very specific photographs of things. And if so, we have a long lineage of that. If not, let's keep going. Any other thoughts for Anand? Alrighty, on to the next one. The Hubble Space Telescope. Anyone have a response to this guy? Have you all seen this one before?
I think I had seen it in like a TikTok a while back.
Nice. Yeah. Alrighty, seems like this is, we'll move on to the next one. Alrighty, the unknown eating lunch photograph. Had anyone seen this photo before? This is one of the most famous photographs in history. It was right around the time when photography was invented, and it was a image that was blasted basically as far and wide as it could reach. So when you talk about viral, this was a pretty viral image. Why do we think this image became so widespread?
I think it shows camaraderie and at simpler times, simple pleasure, and they were sharing cigarette all the way at the back. And I think it's lunchtime, I think. They were eating lunch or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Innocent, I don't know.
Mm.
Simple.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Camaraderie.
It's like the photograph is moving, right? People are in movement still. It's a photo.
Mm.
And they're sharing something. And is it in New York?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Movement. That's another huge, huge territory in photography. Movement. Yeah. Yeah.
For me, it's you gotta be insane to sit up there and have lunch. I'm sorry, that freaks me out. The height thing.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. The visceral response to seeing the precariousness of where they're sitting. And then the camaraderie and the calmness too. The juxtaposition. Yeah. 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 We're going to get into rule of thirds and other principles of photography. But one thing to notice is that on the right-hand side, there's just a little bit of space on the end. And there's this line, this rope that creates a line where the only person on the right-hand side of that line is looking straight at the camera. That, for a documentary photographer, is lightning strike. That's just immaculate. Does that make sense to anyone, or is that just kind of like, oh, that just looks normal? Okay, so tension between the kind of precariousness and then the camaraderie and the simplicity. The other aspect of this photograph is that it's documenting the laborers of a time where the New Deal was happening and a lot of workers were building up America. So there's a historical kind of chronological aspect to it as well. So if I have any news photographers or people interested in documenting events, this is in your lineage. Alrighty, let's go to the next one. Let me check on the time real quick. Okay, so we're gonna move a little bit quicker through these next one. Alrighty, so the next one is the Annie Leibovitz. Anyone have a response to this photo?
Because I don't like the two of them, I don't even want to look at the picture.
Amazing. Love it. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Who is the what's the point of view of this photograph? We're going to get into it in a little bit, but oh yeah, we'll come back to this one. We'll come back to this one, so we don't have to look at it anymore. The next one is the Dorothea Lange. I'm sure you guys have seen this one. Has anyone not seen this photograph? Okay. Any visceral response to this photograph?
Yeah, the Great Depression.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Hungry, like a mother hungry, and she doesn't care about herself. She is thinking, how the heck am I going to feed these two children?
Yeah, in a single image, you can have a whole story behind this character. Yeah. Yeah. So the person who just said that, I can't see who it was. Do you have experience as a mother or a caretaker of others?
I don't, but I've enjoyed this photo for many, many years.
Yeah.
And in fact, I play trivia a lot, and this photo came up recently, and it's funny that this resurfaced again. So it just kind of hit home when I saw it.
Yeah, a universal experience, universal resonance. Yeah. Yeah. And the composition of this photo. So when we're talking about taking pictures of our daughters or of ourselves to send into casting agents, this created a whole character in just an image, right? So if we had cropped it at just her face with the hand, we'd get an image that would be powerful, but having the heads of the children right next to her balanced on either side creates a whole narrative. So thinking when you're, and then also the infant's face further down. I don't know if you guys can see that. But when we're thinking about taking photos of our daughters, obviously we're hoping it's in a positive situation, but thinking about what's framing the person, what story is being told. All right, so let's move on to the Stanfield. Again, one of the most famous photos we have today. This was a photograph taken during the first open heart surgery that I believe was about 24 hours long. what do we notice about this photo? Am I losing y'all? Do we need to do an experiment?
No, I noticed the nurse in the back corner just exhausted, passed out.
Yeah.
It's very chaotic, even though he doesn't seem, the doctor there or whoever is sitting down, he seems calm. It seems to me that something is wrong, or it's all these cables, you don't even know where to start. And then you see things on the floor, things all over the place, and a person sleeping on, on that corner. So
Yeah. Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah.
To me, it seems like he's looking at some sort of monitor because his eyes were focused. I don't think he was like out of it. He was looking at something with concentration.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the eye line is very powerful in this one. And one of you brought up the cords and the cables. If we were painters, all of those lines would be very intentional. So as photographers, we want to start getting the lens of an artist, right? All of these lines, all of these details, all of those spills on the floor, that woman in the corner, all of that is our material. All of that is a part of the images we're creating. Yeah. Any other thoughts on Stanfield? You could teach a whole class on this photo, pretty sure. You could teach a whole class on all the photos, but yeah. Okay, so we're running out of time, so we're gonna fly through the next ones. The next photograph, anyone want to speak to this one? This one is an iPhone photo, and we can go over it in a little bit. Let's move on to the next one, unless anyone has burning desire to speak on this one. Alrighty, the NBA one. Was anyone this was they were finally like, oh, finally I'm through all the angsty art stuff. Now I'm back into my universe. Anyone really resonate with this?
Yes.
There we go. Nice. Okay.
Number 23, Michael Jordan was my man growing up.
Hey.
I was a basketball player, and I Believe I Can Fly came out with this when he was literally flying across the court, dunking like that. It was the first time in history, and it was just legendary. He is so iconic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And as a person, he kind of is a logo, is an icon, as you said. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Anyone else have a similar experience or the opposite experience? We're going to get into shutter speed in a couple classes, and sports photography is one of those. It's kind of if you're photographing sports events, you're kind of an athlete yourself, because these are split seconds. You have to capture such a quick thing, and all of your levels have to be exactly perfect to get, because this photographer was not only able to get the detail of Michael Jordan, but all of the faces in the crowd. They are so vivid. And it's almost even that Michael Jordan is blurred and the focus is on the crowd here, which is very interesting, because usually sports photography, you're focused on the athlete themselves. All right. How about?
I'm not a huge fan of like sports photography, but I do think it's really interesting to note like the saturation of the picture in comparison to a lot of the other ones we've been looking at.
Yeah. How does the saturation affect you?
It kind of like, for me, it's a little overwhelming. But it definitely like brings a lot of attention to the image, and I do think it's interesting, kind of how the contrast of the crowd that's like higher up in the audience, they're more in shadow, so it's darker, and it kind of puts like a pinpoint on that basketball. because of the contrast. And I think that's an interesting part of the picture.
Hmm. Yes, sounds like a true photographer there. Yeah. Any other thoughts on this photo? How about our next Michael Jordan photo? The one with the blue floor. It's the exact same person, but it's a little bit different. How do these two photographs compare side by side?
That's the bird view, right? When you see
Yes.
something from
Mm-hmm.
sky, kind of looking down. So, but I'm wondering, how do they get this photo? Because they didn't have drones, or they didn't have these amazing cameras they have nowadays.
Exactly.
So how did she do it?
Yes.
Erica totally stole my line. I'm like, they did not have drones then. How the heck did they do that? And Erica totally just said exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. There's actually a documentary about this photo shoot because there was so much that went into it. They actually had two different sides to the court, and they didn't know what jersey Michael Jordan was going to bring to the shoot. So they painted one side of the court blue and one side of the court red, just in case he brought the other jersey to get this shot. And then the levels of ladders that they have and the precariousness of the equipment, this took them, I think, a month and a half to develop how they were going to take this for 1 second of him in the air. So that you guys are right on it. Yeah. Yeah. Whereas the photo before was taken just, I mean, he knew his shutter speed, he knew his ISO, but he didn't have to frame, he didn't have to put the people there, he didn't have to arrange the set as the other one did. Great job, guys. You guys are really onto it. Okay. We were going to get into color theory and a little bit more about like rule of thirds and stuff, but I think we're running out of time today, so we'll definitely get into that next week. I just wanted to go ahead and get to the homework assignment before we have to end for today, and that's pretty far down. So if you just scroll down to number 9, it should be slide number 70. If everyone can get there. Sorry, we went a little over today. Hopefully next time we won't have those technical difficulties. But there is a link right there to a Google Drive folder. Does everyone know how to use Google Drive? Does anyone not know how to use Google Drive? Oh, Carlos saw toys. Yes. Viewer feels small. Sorry, I just saw the chat. Absolutely, guys. Can I get a thumbs up or a verbal confirmation that you guys see the Google Drive folder? Does anyone have any questions about? Okay, awesome. Sarfaraz, Zephyr, awesome. Dina, great. Erica, awesome. Okay, great. So the Google Drive, if you click on it, you're going to go to a folder. And this folder you can edit, you can add your own folders. But right now what we have is the folder for the first homework, and then an inspiration folder. So if you come across photos over the next couple of weeks, they could be Instagram photos, they could be screenshots, they could be anything, and you want to save them in a place, feel free to save them in that folder, and we can start aggregating some lenses as we go. Class slides, every time I have slides, I will put that there so that you always have access to the materials. And then for the homework, so this week we went over the artist lens. We didn't get into the specific strategies that you could go through, but what I want you to do is start dedicating a little bit of your time to taking photographs. If you are a photographer, that means you need to spend time taking photos. So this is low stress, you're not getting graded, but I do want you to spend at least an hour this next week taking photographs. It can be of anything. It could be of your daughter. It could be of a wall. It could be of an event that you're going to. It could be a toys in a sort of shape. It could be whatever you want. But I want you to spend at least an hour, that can be broken up over several days or all together, taking photographs. And then when you take those photographs, I want you to upload them into the folder that says homework 1 and name them your, is that someone? Did someone say something? But name them your first and last name and then underscore the number of the photograph. So you can choose what order we're going to look at them. And then, yeah, just so that we have some sort of order in that folder. I don't think anyone has the same first name, so we should be good regarding going over that next week. Does that make sense to everyone? Does anyone have any questions about what the homework assignment is? I'm hearing silence, so I'm assuming it's a good thing. How are we feeling? What was one thing that you guys learned today? Are we kind of getting into the lens? Are we able to see a little bit differently?
I like how you mentioned that it takes a long time. Like I didn't even have this feeling that the photographers will spend a year or 6 months just putting things together. For me, it was more like capturing the moment or seeing with their special lens and then develop it, whatever, in a different way. Of course, it's art and it's amazing. I love what you shared with us today. I learned a lot just by hearing what you have to say about each photograph and who did it and why that was so important. So thank you.
Oh, great. Oh, I'm so glad. Yeah, it's an art form like any other. People take lifetimes creating. Yeah. Alrighty, so we are at the end of today's session. If you have any questions or any concerns over the next week, or if you have any questions about using the Google Drive, feel free to email me. My email is on the first slide of this slide presentation. And next week, we are going to go into more of the mechanics and actually figuring out what settings to use on your phone and on your cameras. So I hope you have a great week and happy shooting. Yay! Bye, photographers. See you next Monday.